There was an emergency B patch because there are a couple of interactions that were a little bit too strong. If you checked out the tier list, you definitely are going to be familiar with some of them as we're about to read. So first things first, there's a small bug fix. Lulu is prevented from appearing on carousels because she kind of got stuck when she was on it sometimes. And then for power-ups, they're removing Blink Attack from Viego and Volibear. Viego Blink Attack, I had it at S tier just because it was that powerful. It was pretty much an auto win. Even 2-star Viego was pretty much killing most boards. And obviously with a 3-star, winning games was quite easy. They're also adjusting Fairy Tail. Damage no longer counts as spell damage, and the damage is going to be increased to compensate for that. Heart of Gold will appear less and is equal to other gold generating power-ups, and then Kahuna Huna true damage to 15% AD is being dropped down all the way to 150, so pretty big change there. Now onto augments. Perfect Form Zac is going to be buffed up a little bit with max health damage, and max health damage empowered buffed up by 2%. Next, Power Load is temporarily disabled due to a bug. And then for items, Morello Namicon, way too strong. They're nerfing it, the mana regen by 1. Same for Radiant Morello. And then Void Staff also getting a 1 mana regen per second nerf, with the Radiant equivalent receiving the same change. So pretty much what was going on with AP itemization was that you didn't really need a mana regen item anymore if you built Void Staff and Morello Namicon. Normally when you build those items, you pair it with a Spear of Shojin or a blue buff, but that just really wasn't necessary anymore because other items such as Hextech Gunblade gave mana regen, Archangel's Gnasher's Tooth, same thing. So it kind of defeated the purpose of having a Spear of Shojin or a blue buff in a lot of cases. So they're nerfing that a little bit, so now the mana items are going to be a bit better, so we might see more blue buff in play. Next up, we have a lot of trait changes. By the way, I'm only making this B patch video because there were so many changes. Normally, I don't make a video on these types of patches, but for the Bastion resist, they're buffing up the later parts of Bastion 4 and 6 because they were a lot weaker than Juggernauts and Protectors, though I will say I think it's still the worst tank trait compared to the other two, Juggernaut being the best, but bumping it up a little to get it more in line definitely is welcome. 5 Prodigy is going to be nerfed by 1 mana regen. Crystal Gambit is getting a lot of changes, so Crystal Gambit gems per loss is going to be buffed up by 3 at 3 crystals. And then Stage 4 multiplier is going to be nerfed. So early game, lose streaks are going to be better. The Stage 4 one's going to be a little less big of a payout. For 5, loot increased at all cash out levels. And then for 7, you get 200 more health and 10% more damage amp. I checked the stats on Crystal Gambit. 7 Crystal Gambit went from around 5.5 in the previous patch all the way to a 3.0 on the current patch. So Crystal Gambit 7, definitely one of the stronger comps coming out of this with this humongous change, but you do need an emblem to get to 7 Crystal Gambit. Soul Fighter health is going to be dropped by 100, and then the true damage is going to be dropped by 2%. Still a solid comp, just not as good as it was before. Wraith is going to get a 3% damage buff at 4 Wraiths. This should help out 6 Wraith a lot because the mid game is going to be a lot easier with that 3% damage buff, so you're going to make it to late game with a lot more health. For 2-cost, Gangplank is getting a nerf at 1-star, 2-star, but staying the same at 3-star. Makes a lot of sense. He was farming a lot in the early game, but his late game, he definitely gets outshined by the other duelists. Katarina is going to get a nerf at 1, 2, and 3-star. Still probably going to be pretty decent. Not the biggest nerf ever, but definitely does touch her up a little bit. 3-cost units, Ari, definitely going to be one of the first units on the nerf table. Way too strong for a 3-cost in the Star Guardian build. Like someone was telling me, they could change her to a 4-cost and maybe people wouldn't even know the difference. But she's probably still going to be decent. Star Guardian's still probably going to be good. By the way, I'm going to be updating the meta snapshot on bunnymuffins.lol/meta, so definitely check that out if you have not already. Kog'Maw on-hit damage is going to be buffed up a tiny bit across all 3 levels. He does attack a lot, so even though the buff looks kind of small, like at 1-star it's only 3 damage, at 2-star 5, and 3-star 10, it adds up being a lot because he just attacks so often because he is an attack speed carry. Malzahar ability damage is going to be buffed up a little bit. I thought Malzahar was actually pretty chillin', but all the Prodigy builds are going to be a lot easier to play just because you can use Malzahar as an item holder to get into those a lot easier, and just playing him as a trait unit going to be a lot better and also buffs up Wraiths a little bit too. Rammus is going to get a shield buff. Swain is going to get an AP ratio increase. Swain heal AP ratio is going to get buffed up as well, so that definitely helps out Crystal Gambit too. And then Udyr, Mentor, burn duration 4 seconds to 1 second. Oh wow. Let's move on into the 4-cost unit. Karma definitely needs buff. She's quite weak. Her ability damage is going from 1050 and 1575 to 1125 and 1700. 3-star is not being changed, I'm assuming. Definitely needs the buff. She definitely is one of the worst 4-cost magic damage dealers. Like, Rise is a lot better. Probably still going to be the case, but Rise is going to get a small nerf to a splash damage. and then his healing is going to be decreased as well. So 4 Mentor definitely going to take a hit there. I don't know if 4 Mentor is going to be S tier anymore. Definitely not. Is it even going to be A tier? We'll have to see. Cassante fixed a bug that caused Cassante to sometimes become untargetable or revive himself when grabbed by Braum or other displacements. 5 cost units, Gwen, huge issue with Gwen. She was way too broken before. But her attack speed is going to be nerfed by 0.05. Yone attack speed per attack is going to be dropped by 1%. Ability damage is going to be dropped as well. And then Zyra actually getting a buff. So Zyra is a very good unit because she's splashable in so many comps, and she's a great support unit to just push your team to the next level because she gives attack speed to your whole team. So perhaps some Zyra and Twisted Fate build is going to be a bit better now, but Gwen and Yone definitely going to take some hits there. For Talker's Trial, they adjusted enemy difficulty on some rounds. If you want to see some Talker's Trial gameplay, I did do a beginner video on it, so check that out if you have not already. But yeah, pretty big patch. I put out a preliminary update on bunnymuffins.lol/meta for comps to play, but I will be updating it as soon as I get more information in the next couple hours, and I will be updating it daily. But the patch did just come out, so people are going to be doing some experimenting, but as soon as something is going to be bonkers, like, you know where to find it. So that's going to be it for me today. Hopefully you all enjoyed this, and I'll see you all next time.